fuck just happened? Are you okay? Oh my god!
Hello, this is another episode of Address This Man. It's brought to you in their sixth studio. We are back after a lengthy break. I know it's been a while. I know you guys have been asking for us, looking for us. Probably can't find us anywhere. Probably find me a lot of places. Stinger, he keeps it pretty low.
I'm hanging down at Dino's.
All right, so we'll do a quick run through our sponsors. We got Amazon. You need anything, don't buy it from them. I don't want them sponsored us anymore.
Let's start off with Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, fuck that guy, man.
I don't know, though.
Yeah?
I'll take the position of defending him.
You'll take defending him? Okay,
Yeah.
Go ahead. Tell me two good qualities of Jeff Bezos, please.
Oh, I don't know about qualities. I mean, I don't know him personally. I'll just have to defend the position of ultra-rich billionaire.
Okay.
You know?
Right. Do you hear that?
Yeah, what do we got now?
I don't know. The studio's falling apart. We should probably quit telling our sponsors to fuck off and talking shit about them so we can get some new goddamn equipment. I think I put my phone too close. I had some ideas that I wrote
Bezos
down.
is flexing on us.
Yeah, man. He just shit on Amazon. Hey, your podcast immediately off iTunes and shut down. No, so what do I got to do? I got to talk some shit about him? Well, do you believe the thing? Do you believe? Okay. Well, do you believe the thing about where people are pissing shit in buckets in the warehouse? Do you believe that?
You ever worked a warehouse job?
No.
It's inherent. No. I mean, I think the bathroom break policy is enough. And then, I don't know if you were telling me this. Somebody credible was telling me this.
No, definitely not me then.
That they get like a shock. They got a shock bracelet that they wear.
Oh boy, I did not hear that. Really?
Yeah, and it's not like
A little shot.
buzz buzz. You got a text. It's like rectifying your behavior.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard you weren't. I watched one guy's take.
Of course,
on
maybe
it.
we're getting fed a bunch of misinformation.
Well, that's what I don't know. That's why it's hard. Like from what the
Fuck do we
information that I have been told, I 100% against Jeff Bezos.
Yeah. Is it his particular brand of dominating the world like an evil fucking villain, or is it the position of any ultra rich?
I think it's just anyone. I don't think it's
1% of
just
the 1% of the 1%.
Yeah, I think it's almost any of them. But for me, I don't know because I wouldn't say the same things about Elon Musk.
Really, he's
And
getting fucking
shelled.
shelled.
I know. Why are people so hard
Well,
on
he
that
does
guy?
say some weird shit where you're like, what'd you say that for?
But did you see when he got
Isn't
given
this way above you?
when
Or
he
way
got-
beneath you? Sorry.
like when he got given shit about making that little submarine thing? Mm-hmm. Like that was a crock of shit.
Most people sort of make fun of him. And
No, that guy came on there and told him he could take that submarine and shove it right up his fucking ass.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because
Well-
he's like, this is going to be useless. You're doing this for a publicity stunt.
I guess-
And he messaged repeatedly. Like he's like, here, read my emails because he got asked if he could do anything about it.
Right.
And he said right there, he's like, I'm sure the Thai government has under control. They have all their specialties, like they have their special sectors that are able to take care of these type of things, and they're way more qualified to do this than I am. I'm like, but if there's any way I can lend a hand, I would be happy to help if they need me. And then someone from the rescue team in Thailand got a hold of him, said, yeah, we could definitely use your help. Anything you can come up with would be great. So he's like, okay, I'll get my guys to start working on this prototype. And he starts getting these guys working on these little like children's submarine around the clock, trying to get this thing going. And then he shows them the prototype and sends them shit. He's like, hey, like, do you want this? Is it even going to be useful? Will we be able to navigate the cave? The Thai rescue team mails him back, says, yes, please. If you could get down here with that, that would be great. We're not guaranteeing we'll use it, but I mean, anything helps. We would love to have it here. And he's like, all right. And he's doing this all out of pocket.
Right.
He's spending his money developing this thing, putting researchers on it, getting people to fabricate and make it, and flying it to Thailand and doing all that. And then to have one of the guys over there who I don't think he even was a rescuer. He was like a ex-army guy from Thailand who just had his 2 cents put in. Someone gave him a microphone he got on. I could be wrong as well. He may have been a rescuer. But
Right.
he told him, he's like, you know what, you can take that mini submarine and shove it right up your ass. It's like, this is nothing more than a publicity stunt.
Right.
And you're like, he didn't want to do it at all. He did everything he could. Like, he did everything asked of him, I guess. But he literally said, like, you guys probably have it under control. I don't know cave rescue.
But it's probably also true that it acts as publicity.
Right. So you're saying he
It's only a possibility.
No, like
do you
it
remember?
yeah, well, it
Do you
definitely
remember
does
when,
give you publicity. We're
right.
talking about it right now,
Right.
but was his main goal publicity? He even said, "No, I don't want to do it."
Right.
Or like they have it under control. It's fine.
Right.
And that was in like a private, like someone called him out on Twitter. I think is what it was.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well, he responded calling somebody pedo boy.
that's him. That's the guy. The
And
guy
that
who told him
was
to shove it up his ass.
inherent to why would you choose to live in Thailand if you're not like just into ladyboys? Like he jumped some massive bridge,
No, and he did, and he shouldn't have said that for
which
sure.
is weird. But again, it's like those are probably mutually exclusive, like or not mutually exclusive. Like you can be a little emotional on Twitter and still be a good-natured genius who's actually trying to do good out there.
Yeah.
But you never know. It's like, who's the most altruistic billionaire type out there? Who's the guy? I mean, you probably don't hear his name. For some
No, I
reason.
found an article one time on the guy, and it was the guy. It's the guy who started. Shit, I can find it right now. Actually, he started.
How?
How? How? It was. He started duty free shops in the airports, and then he like bought like Abercrombie and Fitch or some shit.
He had a nice jingle.
And hang on, I'll
Good
try to get it.
advertising.
I gotta add it so that these people can see what we're doing. It's been a while, people. eh?
Wow. For those of you watching at home.
Yeah, we're gonna get it so you can see my Google machine. For those of you hanging on the edge of your seats. All right, good. And transition. Voila.
Dun, dun,
Now you
dun.
can't see us anymore because I don't really want to do it.
That's what's called a twofer.
Oh, what? Judge your neighbor. Oh boy, look at we're giving some weird stuff. What have you been looking at on here?
Is that your search history?
I think so. Like, why is that on there?
Aye,
This is
aye.
embarrassing. No, it's live. What was it? Man who invents. Oh boy,
Wow. Man who invented infinity. Is that like a book?
duty free. This guy is supposed to be the most Chuck Feeney. Yep,
Chuck.
he's supposed to be the biggest. Like, see, he's known for his frugality. Is that how you say it? Like frugality.
Right. But that's
so
just living cheap. But
No,
if
no,
you
like he gave all his money away.
right. That's crazy. How much money was this?
See, look at he's an Irish American businessman and philanthropist, and the founder of the Atlantic Trophies, one of the largest private foundations in the world. He made his fortune as a co-founder of the Duty Free Shoppers Group, which pioneered a concept of duty-free shopping. Feeney gave away his fortune in secret for many years until a business dispute resulted in his identity being revealed in 1997. Over the course of his life, Feeney gave away more than $8 billion. He gave away like all his money. It's like Feeney is known. He lived in a rented apartment. He never owned a car or a house, and he flew economy his whole life.
Interesting.
Right? I don't know. It seems like we went a little too far, but
Well, it is weird that you
But that's
just
great.
give it to other people. Like, I wonder what they mean by giving it.
well, the thing is, as long as you're giving it to the people that do it, here's his philanthropy history.
But what if the people who took it off?
He transferred his entire. He gave it to a bunch of his workers too, man. Is what he did because he sold the business, but then he gave all the money he got from the business to the workers. I think is what it is. We'll read it in here. Feeney created the Atlantic Philanthropies and in 1984 secretly transferred his entire 38.75 stake in DFS, the worth of $500 million, to the foundation. Not even his business partners knew that and no longer personally owned any part of DFS. For years, he gave away money in secret, requiring recipients to not reveal the sources of their donation. I'm trying to find, because that's what I heard. I heard he when he sold.
That's an interesting little line at the bottom that people try to scam people by saying that they're Charles Freeney. And if you click here, you can get fucking randomly selected to get money.
Really? Yeah, I see that. That's crazy, eh?
Wonder if people...
Anyway, yeah,
little
great
bit older,
great
like
guy,
nobody
that
was.
Charles Feeney, everybody. If you
Born in
can-
1931, so he's seen some shit.
Yeah, he's been around, eh? Still alive, too, age 87.
That'd be so crazy.
He got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 children. Oh, dude, what did I do? I didn't even transition it? Did I not make it so you could see the thing? Oh, shit,
People are not going to be happy.
No, I got an angry tweet already about it. We're working on it here, working on it. Okay, people. Yeah, I don't know. For me, it just seems like the people who get there, like to hear that he made I heard that Bezos made 3.3 billion in a week. And you're like, what?
Holla!
Like,
I don't even know how Yeah, like I don't know how you
Like
make that.
this entire town working for a year wouldn't make that. Not even close. And there's a population 80,000.
Oh, there's
Dude,
so
is the
much
mic
that's
doing it
wrong with
again?
it, but it's almost like
Oh no, we're okay.
I don't know if you hate the player.
Yeah, but like, why can't you do something good with it? Why do you have to keep growing that number?
Well, I think it's way more natural a thing to get paranoid and hoard your gold coins up at the top once you actually get there than it is to be the guy who's fucking
What are you worried about?
just handing it out. It's just power games.
Like what?
Well, what's inherent to coming with?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
It's what's coming with $3 billion. You don't get that billions without knowing how to play power games.
Yeah, but then you're good now, man. Like, take a break. Take 5.
But that's like you're talking about Gordon Gekko types, where it's like
You know what I think?
It's not about how much money; it's the game.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
and that's
it's
the
just a
problem. Is
scoreboard.
I think that you never. Good people just don't get there because good people don't have that desire to do it. Like that's why. How come it never seems like a good person gets into power for like presidency or anything?
They're
Why
out
is it
there.
always the shitheads?
But you're right.
And it's because the good people don't crave that. Like it doesn't come from an egotistical standpoint. I think.
But
So
basically,
you're not driven
that's
to get there. So good people
yeah.
are just like, yeah, you know what? I don't need this title of everyone look at me.
But human history is just examples of people trying to get power and holding on to it.
Right.
And you could say basically America figured it out, where you put a bunch of checks and balances. It's actually really interesting right now with the current administration. You have like a real stress test going on all the checks and balances that are put in place, that were put in place long ago, because they knew about guys like this. And just creating the position period attracts guys like this.
Right.
And if they get there, you can't let one single man flip the whole thing on its ear. And he's trying to do it right now. And, you know, for whatever reason, who knows?
Well, don't you feel like we're hearing that they were going to buy, they need a shipping company because they ship so much, Amazon, that they're like, well, we should just have our own shipping company to ship all of this. And they're just looking at buying like FedEx.
Mm-hmm.
To me, like that, when I heard that, all I can think is that movie Idiocracy with Luke Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
And like how much closer we're getting to that, to the point where they can just buy everything that they want.
Right.
Like to be able to just buy a company like FedEx and take over. Like now you can just buy whatever you want. Like they're gonna be able to buy up eventually everything. You're gonna have one giant mega corporation. I mean, probably never will happen, but
Well, Walmart was a tremendous example of that. I mean, Amazon's Amazon because of the internet.
you know what makes me think about it too with Amazon?
But Walmart was an inevitability.
Right.
It's built in. They offer the best product for the lowest price, give or take.
Right.
How they do it? Yeah, a little ethically fucking gray.
Mm-hmm.
But it's business.
Yeah, well they gotta fix that. Like capitalism I don't think is working.
Well, it's working pretty damn good.
I don't think so.
I mean, things are as good as they've ever been.
Yeah, but that's what everyone says. That's obviously what's gonna happen. The world's gonna get better. I don't think that's due to capitalism though.
Well, there's different systems like existing at once in the world, so you can't like attribute.
Like I think capitalism.
I guess you can't attribute the whole world to any one system.
Because I don't know. I really don't agree with that statement when people make that. Because that's like Peterson's whole thing. Keeps pumping up. Here's good news. This is good. Like, you know, it's better than it's ever been. And you're like, yeah, okay. But I don't think, like, I think we're still playing in a broken system.
Right. But what, like, again,
The
like,
distribution of wealth, I think, is the biggest problem we're facing, short of like global warming.
right, but is that a tinker in the current system, or is there a different system that would come in and totally supplant capitalism?
No, I don't know. But first of all, you got to start making, like, they just fix the tax structure. And then you got to deal with the corrupt, like frivolous government spending. I think if you did that, if you made it so that corporations have to start paying tax, and you held the government more accountable for where the money's going. Like, how come, if America's so great, how come they can't afford free healthcare?
Well, they don't want it. Well, not. I should say they don't want it.
I know, but they're
there's
saying it.
people at the
but
top
they're even
that are-
saying though that it would cost too much.
right.
They're saying it's $38.5 trillion or something.
It would cost a lot. I don't know about too much. Like, I don't know if there's
They're
anything
saying-
that's too much for that country.
Well, they're saying it is. They're saying that we can't afford it. They're
Right.
And then they make the thing. They're like,
But
even
those
if
are just
you take-
politicians.
They're like, even if you take all of the one percenters in America and take all their money away and threw them in jail, we couldn't afford to do this for 1 year.
I don't think that's true.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know.
Yeah. No, same with me. Yeah. But
350 million people is a lot different than 40 or whatever. Like this is small, but I think you could maximize that model.
That's
and
gotta
it
all
would
be
still
proportional,
yeah,
right?
it'd be proportional.
you would think.
But in terms of
Like
taxing
everyone just-
in terms of taxing corporations and stuff like that, like that's what it says on paper. These people just get to the top and they twist and turn the language, and they maneuver and they pull some.
Well, the
corrupt
problem
stuff.
they say is they're like, we look into it, and we looked into it, all of it, but they're not doing anything illegal,
Right.
which is the real problem. That they're like,
And they get to donate to political campaigns.
yeah,
Like money in politics is the worst kept secret ever. Mm-hmm. It's like a huge issue. It somehow never gets addressed, and it's because I think you take both teams or however many teams you want to have in your politics. I think all of them are still interested in having the money in politics
right.
because it is just real power games. Good people don't go far in that.
Well, I just
You're playing with a different set of rules.
don't understand why they can't share. Were they not taught to share? Are they all single children? Are all the rich guys single children?
I don't know if just being good is inherent to people.
Because like you look at, like, I'm just reading again, just browsing over this Chuck Feeney. He's sitting there in San Francisco with a rented apartment with a nest egg of $2 million.
Right.
Like that's plenty.
Well, there's people that tell you 36.5. Anything after that, you should be giving it away. It's like, hey, dog, relax.
Yeah,
36.5.
Yeah.
But you know, like what's too much and when is when you capped out.
When I watched that thing on Elon Musk is building like the biggest building by landmass ever made, and it's all solar panels and then all full of batteries, I guess. And he figures he's going to be able to power like 1/6 of the world with this building off of solar power. And he's like, if we build 6 more of these, well, I guess so 1/7. If we build 6 more of these, he's like, we could power the entire world off of solar and not need it. Our power demand would be met. But he's like, I can't afford to do this. And he called out all the big companies. He's like, I need Chevron, like I need Suncor, like calls out all the major oil companies.
Right.
That they need to pitch in and help him out. And nobody seems interested in that at all.
No.
Dude, did you drink that water? Just reminds me of that. I watched that bad lip reading with Zuckerberg. What a psycho.
Oh yeah, it's so funny
sipping
because
the
they
water
had
and he's
that,
just staring dead in the eyes of the guy and just
that movie that they made about him.
yeah.
He's like super suave when he's sitting in depositions. He's just chirping people, calm, laid back, and then he just like his first day of 3rd grade when he's sitting there in real life answering tough questions.
yeah.
Yeah. Just folds like a cheap suit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we're going to do everything we can. Should have been in there like, who are you to tell me what the fuck to do? It's a free site. People do shit. It's crazy.
Well, I think it would be super cool to see a guy get hauled up in front of Congress like that, but he shows up in like board shorts and flip flops. He's just like, fuck yeah. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to dress in this fancy suit. I'm not going to do this. What do you want to know? And like, just does it so casually. Because
I guess what he was really in hot water for was
the Russia collusion
the
thing.
hacking. Of
Yeah.
Fucking Cambridge Analytica. Boy, that went away.
Well, because they were looking at censoring Facebook, right? Like having the government control and censorship on it, which was pretty sketchy because that's kind of going towards China. Like the only thing we have, like not the only thing, but our internet's wide open. Pretty much.
Dude, I don't have a lot to think about when it comes to China, but I've been thinking about China a lot just in terms of how many people are over there and they're communists. And it's like, there's just so much shady shit like from the outside where you're like, okay, you don't have the internet. What's that about? But maybe it's like a money thing and they just don't want other companies profiting off their population or something like this. And they keep it to themselves. But it's still weird that they're not allowed on the World Wide Web.
Right.
But they have an internet.
Someone told me
And on that internet, you can't exactly find everything that's true.
Right.
Like you can't Google Tiananmen Square,
Okay.
where like the Chinese government just ran over protesters.
Oh, really? You can't find that on the internet?
Don't talk about it.
Like no, like can we find it here?
Yeah, we can.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
on the
that's
World
what I
Wide
mean.
Web,
We can find
but
it.
in China,
Right.
There's this weird old school move of propaganda control, right? Which is kind of futile, but weirdly existing in a few spots, because I mean, you wanna give North Korea a bunch of shit for not having the internet, and then they have their intranet or whatever the fuck, and it's like 32 websites or something like that. I mean, what is this then? A magnified version of that.
Can you see me here? Huge. Okay.
So it seems kind of weird. And my question would be,
My feet up here.
just in the big picture, if somehow they do feel the walls closing in and the system starts to fail, what does that organism do in its death throes?
Yeah. Sorry. I need you to carry this for 1 sec. I gotta get this mic out of my face.
You okay?
I don't know, man.
I'm not going to keep throwing stuff at you. You seem a little preoccupied.
Okay, question number 2, please.
Easy. Next question.
Yeah, no, I don't know, man. But
It seems weird.
You know,
and the no term limits for their president.
that's definitely a big issue. That seems to be the first thing any dictator does.
You're always like, hey, man, why do you get to make that rule now that you're in the position?
But what about
That's why you have to
I
give
find it-
conservatives, you got to give the devil their due. Like when they say no, like watch out for the government and keep it small and fuck these people, I want my freedoms.
right?
Like it's in the wake of knowing what happens when you create power positions and then give them too much leverage. People that get there are going to be the people you don't want there eventually.
Right.
And you have to have something set up so that they can only do so much damage.
Which is term limits, I guess, or like
Massively. And re-elections and,
a Senate.
well, as you're seeing now, like freedom of press is massive
Right.
under the whole system. You can't go after that. So for him to go after that, like it's one of the more transparent moves that he's making,
Right.
attacking the free press. It's 101 in the playbook for dictators or anyone who's trying to really get like an iron fist over
Over
a
a country.
population.
Yeah. The only thing I find is like, how do you know that China's not just like prospering?
I mean, I don't know the numbers per se.
Right, like they're communism, and they're the and like we all talk about how capitalism's the best way to go, and that we have the best system with democracy and capitalism, and China seems like they're doing fucking pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know everything big picture.
Like they're managing more people than anyone else in the world, and they seem to be doing it without crumbling. But
Well, their major cities are highly polluted.
yeah, they're environmental problems for sure. That's an issue.
They had a bit of an issue with the one-child rule. It's a little weird. A couple sad stories there.
But do we?
And then
I guess what I
like,
noticed-
what does a functioning economy really mean? Like,
But
what
we-
is what is the harbinger of a good government? What is the identifiers of like? Is it
Yeah,
just
no,
quality
no.
of life of the people in the?
Well, it seems to me
under
it would
the
be
system?
quality of life for
Yeah.
sure. Like quality of life, and
But at the same time, when you have a population like that, man, like who's providing a quality of life for over 1 billion people? That's fucking crazy. I don't know. Like, what does America look like with 1 billion people?
right,
Fucking knows. Maybe like the lid pops right off the goddamn thing.
yeah.
Maybe too
Well,
much.
you'd have to have it probably like. Would you have entire cities of just like poverty?
It's a good question because,
Like,
like,
if you're
would
trying
it
to-
just magnify anything, or would
try
it
and-
all stack up at the bottom again? Because you'd still have this bunch of fucking psychos at the top playing for power and just getting their hands on everything. I think it
Well-
would be a disproportionate lower class for sure.
I find it hard to
Not
because
that
I
it
find
isn't.
anyone has like they have a weird sense of patriotism. Everyone does. Like you talk to anyone here, they'll tell you Canada's the best country in the world.
Right.
You go to Sweden, I bet you they tell you Sweden's the best country in the world. America thinks America's the best country in the world. And I wonder, who are we to say that China doesn't think they're the best country in the world?
Well, there's a difference.
Or Russia. Like you listen to Russians, they all love Russia. They seem like they're like Russia is the thing.
So
But we
there's-
look at Russia and we're like, that place is fucked.
For sure. I mean,
So obviously
there's a difference
something's in the
between-
water that everyone's
between patriotism and nationalism.
yeah.
So patriotism is you want your country to be great.
Mm-hmm.
Nationalism is you want to make sure your country is greater than all other countries at any cost.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little more sinister.
Mm-hmm.
And in history, it's gotten people to do all sorts of shit, right? Because when you're on a team and there's a set of rules for that team and you fit in and they don't and they're them and you're you and
Mm-hmm.
it's just it's caused a lot of issues.
Yeah.
I like Canada. I like being Canadian. I count myself fortunate and I'm thankful. Proud is a weird word. You got to be very careful about attaching yourself to any given tribe and because you are one way that you have to be like everyone else who is also that way.
Right.
Like it doesn't work that way. It's just not a good way to look.
Well, you
at
notice it with
things.
sports teams, though.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, like you're a
But
player.
you're supposed to keep that benign.
Right.
It's not supposed to get malicious, but it's.
But
it
someone
just
on your
kinda
team
does.
could do something totally wrong and you stand up for him.
Right. There's
You
biases.
still have
and
his
stuff,
back.
which is a weird one, right?
Like, I mean, like if you're playing in the actual sport.
For on the team,
You know, like
that's the only thing.
That's what I mean. When you're playing hockey,
Mm-hmm.
a player on your team can go and blatantly run the other team's goalie. And then when they come to lay a licking on your guy, you stand up for him.
You will stand up for
even though
him,
he did something completely wrong.
but I guess you can draw examples of both, right? Like, there's times where that was definitely the case, and then there's times where a guy did something so egregious, like everyone kind of stopped. Yeah,
Like-
I don't know, but you're right. Like in
then they're just
sport, people understand that emotion will trump logic a lot, and people will do things that are uncharacteristic, and it's almost part of it.
Right.
It's kind of what you pay for.
And then I have a hard time going back to like the Bezos thing where I think, what the fuck would I do if I had that much money? You know, it's easy for me sitting here having to go to work every day talking about share your shit.
Yeah.
But then if I ended up with that money, would I be that? Like, would I be so willing to share it? Would I have this viewpoint? I mean, or do you have to come from here and then get to there?
Right.
Like, did that guy ever have this? Like, I don't know if I'd say this struggle that we have. I do think, I don't know if you call it struggle, but you know, like you're locked in this system.
Right.
Like, as soon as you buy a house and you get a mortgage, you're stuck. Like you're 25 years of your life.
Well,
you have to dedicate.
you're somewhere, yeah.
You have to dedicate 25 years of your life to paying this thing. If you stop making payments, your life is.
We'll see
changing.
whose house it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Like it's easy for me to sit here and say that guy should share his money. That's another thing I was thinking about with racism. So, like you look back, I don't know when were the blacks allowed to vote? Can you call them the blacks? Is that bad? When were African Americans allowed to vote?
I think that came
Like
with,
in the 60s?
like civil rights. Like man, I would be totally talking out of school, but yeah, I want to say around that.
I feel it's around the 60s because apparently
Because-
the
well,
same
they desegregated.
same in Canada with the Indigenous. Apparently they weren't even allowed to vote until the 60s.
Yeah.
Like the same type of story. And I guess what I'm doing, like what I question where your moral compass comes from. So now at this point in my life, or I guess my whole life anyway, you were taught like color of your skin doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. So you were brought up in a society, or I don't know if it's society, but anyway, your parents taught you
Right.
that race is not something that you should judge another person's character on, or base an opinion on someone based on the color of their skin.
Right.
But back then, like if I was growing up in the 50s, and you're taught that these people are not the same as you, or like slavery, it's like they're animals, they're not the same as you, and they're below you. What would I then be raised like? Would I have been raised racist, and I
Right.
probably would have been a racist, or would I have somehow had some moral compass within me, instilled in my values from I don't know where, but just some human feeling of natural emotion or empathy towards these people, and been able to be like, no, this is wrong what we're doing, or would you have just gone with the pack?
Right now, you're being a Nazi apologist, and you should be ashamed of yourself. So, no, that's a really good question to ask. And basically, what you're getting at, the way I see it, is take all those tiki torch motherfuckers in Charlottesville there. Mm-hmm. You think they came to that on their own? Like maybe they found that team, or maybe they were a friend of a friend and they got together at the white nationalist rally. But guaranteed they had shitty parents and a shitty uncle, and they just thought that was the way to be. Also with the mistreatment of women.
Right. Yeah.
Like, it's just something you saw and then something you emulate.
Right.
And it's at what point is that person accountable for knowing that that's right and wrong and stuff. And normally when someone graduates high school, you start getting hard on them and going, look, if that's your way of fucking thinking, reality check.
Right.
But you have to do that. And
Well, I even remember
with freedom of speech, right? You can't do that with violence.
I used to think that violence was the answer to everything, just from playing hockey. I think
It can solve things.
Well, because hockey was the one time in the life in the world where if you said something to me I didn't like, I was allowed to punch you in the head.
Yeah.
So I could just grab you and I could just start swinging on you. But then if you start carrying that into life, I remember like being probably 19 years old and just angry, and my dad saying, "Look, you can't just go around punching everyone in the head who pisses you off." He's like, "You know how far I would get if everyone who pissed me off, I just started grabbing them and punch them in the head? You're getting nowhere. That's not the way to solve the problems that you have."
Yeah.
But again, there it comes in with having a good parent, being able to explain to you that this isn't the solution. Is where, what if my dad was like, "Yeah, fucking hit him in the face, like, don't take shit."
Right.
Then I would be out there being a jackass and a burden to
And those
society.
guys exist. Mm-hmm. And they're going to have kids too.
Yeah.
But by and large, I still think it's
I think
getting
that's
better.
what a lot of it
like
comes
that thing,
down
like Bill Cosby.
Right.
Like, I think that might have been a lot more common than anyone would like to believe back then.
Right.
What he was doing. Not that
yeah.
it's not reprehensible.
Yeah.
Not that anything is, but to be looking back on things through this lens now.
Right.
Everyone's getting run up retroactively. Mm-hmm. And maybe a few years ago, like there's, you know, like even back to the 2000s, whatever. Like if it's been pretty recent bad behavior, yeah, people need to be held accountable. Mm-hmm. And even if it's back then, I mean, you need to put the guy on trial and put him away or whatever. Mm-hmm. But it's like, I mean, that's an extreme example, so freakish, but just, like, say in BC they're taking down that John A. MacDonald
Right.
statue.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, I don't really know where I stand on that because what they're doing is they're just not putting it in City Hall. They're going to put it somewhere else.
Okay.
Which I think is fine. It's a nice compromise.
Right.
But at the same time, to pretend like this guy is now some reprehensible character because we figured out he had some writings about calling Indigenous people dogs or whatever.
Right.
Like, it's, you're talking about like how long ago and
Right.
how fucked up was the whole world.
Right.
And yeah, show me somebody back then who didn't think that way.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just, they're rare.
Yeah, it's same with well, I guess like you went back to the medieval times when you would just go to a neighboring place, village or, you know, castle, and you just slaughter people. And then you're like, when did they ever get this action? Yeah. Like, did like 100 years later, they look back at kings of castles and be like, that guy was a prick. Remember when he did this? But even though back in the time, that was the move, was to go and take their shit so you had more.
Yeah. Like, he was just the first prime minister.
Yeah.
If it has to go past that, like, yeah, he was also a prick. That's fine.
Right. Well, I think that like everything they did obviously was wrong, but I see where you're coming from, where you're saying like that's what they thought was the move at the time.
Well, this is my big question was is even having a statue, does that inherently mean celebrating, or is it just memorializing, or is it just remembering, or does it have to be everything that this guy's life totaled up to?
Yeah, you know what, you raise an interesting point there, because if it is, because I know that one thing that people don't like when I watched that a Michael Moore documentary, Where to Invade Next, and he talks about how in Germany they teach their children in schools about the Nazi regime and get them well versed on it, and they compare that then to America. Oh yeah, get it off. Showed a nip on stage. We're probably gonna get pulled off YouTube now.
Get some, ladies and gentlemen.
Good save. But what they were showing in that documentary is how in Germany they teach about the Nazi regime and show them how bad it was and make sure they're educated on it and not act like this never happened and sweep it under the rug.
Right.
And be like, okay, this is what we did. It was terrible. Let's never get here again. And then they make fun of America because America seems to be like not talking too frequently about their slaves and what they did there and how they treated the African Americans. Right. And
still a point of contention.
Yeah. And then but then
two different approaches.
Now, but then the thing I guess what I'm saying is that's the same what I kind of find up here. I have quite a few Indigenous friends and follow Indigenous people on Twitter, and they they're constantly trying to bring up or raise awareness, I guess is the better way to put it. Raise awareness to the way that they were treated during, like, you know, residential schools and all this. And
Yeah.
they quite often draw a parallel to America. And they say, yeah, we'll shit on America for slavery, but you don't realize what we did in our own country here. We were just as bad to our indigenous people.
Right.
And by removing John A. MacDonald now, you just raised the point. I'm just going off the top of my head here. But now is this, like, should that almost be there as a memorial to remember what had happened?
Yeah. What if?
Like if we just get rid of all this shit,
Right.
like they're saying, well, it's like bad guy, let's not bring him up.
Right.
Well, then you're exactly doing what you're making fun of America for doing by not addressing what they did. You're just trying to erase that part of history. But I thought you're trying to raise awareness for that.
Yeah, and I think the people who wanted it moved are only just saying, like, look, I shouldn't have to walk to the public hall and have to see this.
Okay, yeah.
But if you want to put it somewhere that, like, is open but I don't really go,
Right.
like,
Do you put it in a museum?
yeah, something like that.
Just a museum?
Which is probably what it's for. It's a fucking statue.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
But
that makes sense.
I don't know. Because people are trying to compare it to taking down Confederate statues. In
Yeah,
America.
they are, for
I was
sure.
like, that's not really the same thing. Like, those guys didn't really start America or anything like that.
Right.
They lost, first of all. Not ideal.
Bunch
But
of losers.
yeah.
I want a statue of a loser in my goddamn hometown, I'll tell you that for free.
Yeah, but they're also just guys who stood for a bunch of silly shit.
Did you
That wasn't really America.
Yeah. Did you see that? Have you seen any of that? Who is America? That Sacha Baron Cohen?
Just the highlights.
Right. He's got one where he goes to a small town in Arizona.
Yeah.
That one to me kind of stuck out. A lot of it's really silly. A lot of that show, I don't
Those
know where
people,
I stand.
where
on
he's
it.
going to build the mosque.
Yeah, but that one really like stood out to me. Where you're like, whoa, 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 what are you guys saying here? Like, and they're just like they're just blatantly racist people.
He's just not blinking at all. Yeah. Yeah, it's see, now I start to wonder, granted Donald Trump got elected and all this stuff, but even if there's thousands of racists in America, thousands is a lot of people. Right. Say 100,000, a whole Dallas Cowboys stadium full of racists.
Yeah,
a lot of racists, but is it a lot of racists in the big scheme of things? Like, what if they're a small group of people that are very loud and
Right.
exceptionally
I see what you're
loud
saying.
right now at the moment?
Right.
Because there's a spotlight for them, and they're going to try to advance whatever stupid thing they're advancing.
Yeah, their agenda. Yeah,
Because that's what people say about the left, too. It's like there's not that many people out here that think this stupidly, but the ones that are super loud and super active, and they make it seem like
yeah.
this is more rampant than it is.
Yeah, well, that's the thing I find with any politics, like the disconnect between social media and the internet and then like reality. Like, I want to meet one of these people in real life. Because even when that gay cake debate came out, where they're talking about that, but have we already addressed the gay cake debate? People know. So should I go through it? What it was? Think people know?
No, people probably know.
Okay. So with the gay cake debate, though, when that thing came around, to me, I asked if you asked anyone about it, they're just like, yeah, I would just go to a different baker. Mm-hmm. Like, if I asked you to make me something and you didn't want to do it, I would not go to the government and be like, you have to make this guy make what I want made.
Right.
You would just be like, you know what? You don't want to make it? I'm not going to give you my fucking money then anyway.
Right.
See you later. I'm going to go down the road and do it. And that's what I think 90% of people, probably 95% of people you talk to would say.
Yeah.
They'd be like, yeah, if a business doesn't want my business, I'm not going to fight for them to give me their business.
Right.
I will go find someone else.
Now, I think that might change when it's a corporate chain. If somebody's Dairy Queen won't serve you. Mm-hmm. It's weird, right? You can't just let that slide.
Yeah. Well, I guess it depends what they're not.
Because, like, the
serving it
caveat
for.
to the gay cake thing is, like, those people were kind of going around looking for that.
Yeah, exactly.
And they were looking to make a video and then whatever.
Right.
It's not like it didn't happen, but it's still kind of, there's a caveat.
And the thing is, it's not that he didn't refuse service.
Right.
He said he would sell them any of his
So
cakes.
I don't
he
want to
has,
make that cake.
but I'm not
yeah.
making that specific cake.
Right. But there's also the Jim Jeffries thing where he goes, well, what if you refuse to serve somebody for a different immutable characteristic like skin color?
Right.
You can't have that.
Right.
And that's true. Like, you can't just let people not be served because of their skin color.
Right.
But if it's private business be like a small civil claims court thing, but if it was a big chain, like it becomes larger than life, right?
Doesn't Jim Jeffries impress you a lot with that shit? Like, how can a comedian sit across the table from what's supposed to be one of our greatest intellects right now,
Right.
and hold his own and catch the guy? Like he burned Peterson there, but Peterson took it very well. Peterson, I think, showed one of the most admirable characteristics you can have in intellect, I guess, or someone. Well, you need to be able to go back on a stance you had previously when you realize that maybe your stance was wrong, or when you get new information.
Right.
Because that's what they say about like scout and soldier mindset. I watched a TED Talk on it one time. They talk about like soldier mindset. Like a soldier, he has a mission, and all he thinks was how he can get that mission accomplished. He doesn't care how it comes about. Is where a scout, like a scout in an army setting, their job is just to get a lay of the land. All they seek is the truth. They're like, we have to get a lay of the land, figure out what's here. If there's a river there, if they want a bridge over the river, if there's no bridge, they can't just put a bridge there. They're like, look at this is what it is. This is the truth.
Right.
So they talk about you need to have your mind needs to be flexible. Where what a soldier mindset would do, say that you and I were debating capital punishment. Say that you were for capital punishment and I was against it. Now say that you brought me scientific evidence showing that capital punishment worked. Then if I had a soldier mindset, immediately what I would do is I would take that information and I would try find something within the article, discrediting it, to be able to throw it all out. I just look for something that was wrong and be like, oh, this whole thing's garbage, or try find something to discredit the argument. Is where what you should do is you should read that whole thing. Now compare the new information against the old information, then reassess your situation or your standpoint on it, and then make a new opinion or thesis.
Yeah.
But they say, like, a lot of us were taught that being wrong, a lot of people correlate IQ to being wrong. So if you were wrong about something, it stands to say that you have a lower IQ or you're not smart. As well as if I can get you to change your mind right now on something, you looked at it as weak-minded because I swung you on a point.
Right.
When really that shouldn't be the case.
Yeah.
Like if you can show me that what am I thinking is wrong and I can see that, I should change.
Yeah, that's why that live debate thing is just a little bit skewed. Like it's not
A live debate in the form of
accurate
what?
enough
With
where, like,
what Harris and
what
Peterson did? Or
no, more like what Peterson did with Michael Eric Dyson,
okay, I didn't see that.
where they'll poll the audience beforehand.
Yeah, how do
I think the official question was, is political correctness good?
Right.
And they're supposed to stay sort of within the confines of that.
So then what did? They polled the audience how they felt going into the debate,
Right.
and then as they left, they polled them again and saw if people changed their mind.
Right. Which you can't really trust because it's not like those audience members can't get up to things that skewer those results one way or the other. But I still think that you could sell out theaters, maybe not stadiums, but just to watch people exchange the most contentious ideas of our time. And do it openly and thoroughly and not on a fucking split screen on CNN for 5 minutes. Like, actually sit down and lay it out. And if you can hang in that arena, people know right away. And your ideas either hold water or they don't. And maybe you're not the best speaker or something like that. Or you're not as charismatic as the next guy.
Yeah.
But whatever the evidence is, whatever the other side of the argument is, find a way to just smash it out. And then, I mean, the truth is, as you gather it from that battle, like it'll emerge somehow. It'll emerge differently in people's minds, and some people will still be too stubborn to see it one way or the other, even if it does sway. But you can still hammer out the truth. It's just, you never know. Anyone who's really come along with some way to live or how to do things has always been up to something.
Right, like they had a secret agenda. You mean?
Yeah, like it
they're
wasn't.
like, oh, hey, this is all good, and then like you're like, oh wow, everything's working great, but
or
really
they
he's
come
got
to
something working.
they come
in the
to
background.
find out it's an incomplete idea, and they start patching it up with fucking horse shit.
Right.
And then it dies somewhere. It's just, but if you can just keep putting it through the ringer and just, like, I mean, what do you really know for sure? What do we really know for sure? How do you know the moon's real? Like it's, you know, what are we willing to accept? Draw a line and then say anything above that line, you have to contend with.
Right.
It's truth as we see it, hear it, see it, smell it, whatever.
I just heard the other day that we've been back to the moon. Is that real? Because one of the biggest things about the moon was that we've only ever been there once. And now I heard that they've gone back. And that whole thing's not real.
Other people on the moon?
Yeah, like, because everyone's like, oh, we landed on the moon once, planted the flag, and then got out of there. And when I say we, I don't mean like we as in America, like people, humans.
Right.
Apparently, we've been there more than once. Now, like, you're like, who do you believe now?
I didn't know other people had walked on the moon.
Yeah, I don't know. I just
Like maybe
heard.
they, I don't know.
Can't tell you
question.
whether it's a credible source.
Because I thought that was just such a long trip that they would shoot stuff at the moon, but not people.
Fire!
Yeah. Like, it's super crazy to think that there's things driving around on Mars.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucking crazy.
Weird, right?
Yeah. Like, if you really just look like that scene at the end of
Yeah, my drone, if I get away 50 meters, it fucks up.
that scene at the end of Men in Black where he opens the locker and they're just a universe inside of a locker, inside of a station in a giant world that's like, if you just look at the Earth as...
Well, weren't the aliens playing like marbles with the galaxies or some shit?
Oh, that's at the start, like the intro credits or whatever.
Right.
But at the end, because he opens the locker and there's that little civilization with the watch, and he has to get it. And then when they're in the locker room, Kay opens his locker and shows them that they're just in the bus locker
Yeah.
in this giant alien universe. But if you just look at the Earth as a single-celled organism, and then it just starts... Like, how crazy, it just starts shooting stuff off of it. Steel that these little monkeys have put together. And it just permeate. Like, what's it called when you...
Penetrate?
No. The way that panspermia?
I don't know.
Where, like how the dandelions get in your lawn. Like, they just go through the wind, and it's like a big jizz load going through the air, technically. Yeah. It just starts shooting off these things.
Right.
Around the solar system. Like, it's alive, and it's got this, call it a disease, call it a condition, call it whatever the human race is. But it's here, and is it going to grow, or are we going to build a fucking exosphere around it to protect ourselves? Or, like, we already have things orbiting it. Tons of steel contraptions orbiting it for satellites, for space stations.
It's making it possible for you guys out there to hear us in here.
And you just take that for granted every day. No big deal.
Yeah. I don't know how it all
Or
works
people
out.
have you believe that that's not true, and it's like that's what some of the conspiracy folks do is they just go, well, what how do you know that? They
Right.
just want you to prove it without beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Right.
And normally you do have to be an expert to do that. But at what point are you supposed to take the expert's advice
Right.
and just go, look, man, like, yeah, I didn't do the tests, but like the sun is 93 million miles away. I know it wasn't done with a measuring tape.
Yeah.
It's light, and I don't know how they measure the light specifically,
Yeah.
but it works.
Yeah, well, I get
And
real...
if that's not going to work, then nothing works. Like, you
I
have
get
to
real
throw out the whole
dusty
thing.
on it with... just because they always say light refraction. And I've never looked into how the light refraction in space works. But with my job, we use light refraction to measure densities of liquids and materials and stuff. And I know that shit fucks up. And you're like, how do you know you're shooting a light from here to there, and then you're able to tell what that is by shooting a light at it? Because all they do is build a curve. They just try find something. It's the same way like how microwaves can measure, like not a microwave in your kitchen, but like a microwave like radiation source. How you can measure the moisture content of things with a microwave, because as the microwave passes through whatever solid you're putting it through, any moisture will attenuate the signal, so it'll make it smaller. So all you do is you just set up like this, the emitter and then the receiver, and then you send a microwave across, and then what you do is you put something in front of it, like you say you were measuring like wood chips.
Right.
You would take a wood chip, like a batch of wood chips, put them there. You would send the microwave through, and then you'd see how much of that signal is caught at the receiver. And then you would have to do a lab sample of that, like the same batch, and take it to a lab. You'd weigh it, then you dry it out, then you weigh it again, then you get the moisture content, and then you put into the computer of the receiver for the transmitter. You say, okay, when you're getting this much of a signal, that means this much moisture.
Right.
And then you do it with a different batch, a little wetter, and then do it again. And eventually you build like a curve for how that works.
Right.
But then who's to say that like something else doesn't get in the way? Like I get that on a small scale, but you're now telling me you're doing that from here to Jupiter.
Yeah.
So you're shooting a thing from here to Jupiter.
I just don't think they do it once. That's all.
Yeah, yeah,
Like they just do it hundreds of times.
yeah.
And they go, well, this just has to be true. I mean, it's replicable, matches all the data. The numbers add up.
It's got to be a really good fucking telescope, right?
There's some crazy ones out there.
Because like they're measuring light refraction. So refraction is the opposite of reflection. Refraction is how much light would get absorbed instead of reflected. So I guess they're shooting light at it, and then they're seeing how much light is coming off. I guess they're measuring kind of the reflection in a way. They're seeing how much light's getting absorbed.
Sometimes
I just don't really
like Pluto. You know how big Pluto is, or you know how big these planets are, because when they go in front of the light, you can tell how much light doesn't make it. Mm-hmm. And then, given how the light comes through, is how I think they guess the chemical makeup of the planets. Like
Right.
What must be on there to make the light behave that way, or let just this amount through, or
okay.
like,
So
if
when
it's
so if a
gaseous, or if
planet
it's
passes in
solid.
front of the sun, is that what they do? So maybe they're not even shooting light from here, and I'm just out to lunch. That's a way better idea, just to use the sun as a thing, right?
Yeah, but it might just be, you might only be able to do it with the two inner planets. With our sun, but I think there's light that it would go in front of. Like, I think you can see another star, and then as it passes in front of that light.
In front of that light. But then you have to kind of know how much light. I guess you do. You would be able to measure that. You just have to measure the light emitted from the star when you just see it freely, unobstructed. And then when it passes.
Yeah.
Look at us trying to figure out
Because
some fucking
I just don't know why people want to refute it, because, like, you know how there's just that feeling of, oh, I want to be the guy who's the first one to be the dissident that says, no, this isn't true, and, you know, we've been lied to, or we're wrong about this thing we feel so right about. Mm-hmm. But what's true is the craziest fucking story you can make up. What's true about the solar system and the universe and all the laws of that govern it is fucking insane. It just happens to be reality. But there's no reason to try to cook up a better story than this.
Right.
Everything out there is a pure miracle.
Well, if you were going to cook up a story, you'd try to make it believable, right?
Yeah.
Or more believable than what the reality is.
Well, somehow just the greatest elaborate story ever told, every scientist who ever lived is in on it. Mm-hmm. Just doesn't make any sense. But
you just get to a certain point, once you actually start being able to do the equations to figure it out, they just come to your house. Hey, we'll murder your family. Don't tell
some
anybody.
of the concepts those guys get into with black holes and trying to study the origins of the universe, there's almost no way but to trust the other mathematicians.
Well, I guess you just have to
back you up and be like, hey, is that guy fucking talking shit or what?
They'll
be like, no, man.
And I guess you just have to take something as simple as what we're doing right now. Like, explain to me how this works.
Right.
Explain to me how I'm talking to this microphone and someone in Europe could hear me right now live.
This setup when you were born,
right? Like, I don't
cost,
know.
like the technology in this room passes the Tonight Show.
Yeah.
They're broadcasting to everybody in the country.
Yeah. Yeah, it blows your mind, eh? Like, how does...
Well, that's the cool thing is that
The
there's a small 1% of humans that actually push things forward.
The crazy...
And there's a whole bunch of us that just get to enjoy the fact.
Right.
So, like, you have to create a system that lets those people run wild.
Right. Yeah.
They got to be there. And a lot of people would argue that that's the free market system that lets that take place. It's the healthy competition. Mm-hmm. And it's true to an extent, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I guess you could always make an argument for the good, right? Like, come full circle here, back to Bezos, that son of a bitch.
Mm-hmm. But there's simply no system.
Maybe he is making the world better because he is getting people... He's getting people products delivered in a timely fashion, whatever they need. And
yeah, it's just that working for him should be fucking sick.
Yeah, well, that's
sick, dude.
Well, that's a thing.
Why not make it like Google Campus style?
Yeah, but apparently Google's getting pretty shoddy too, right?
Right, but you work at the Amazon warehouse.
Yeah.
Dopest forklifts.
Yeah.
They give you fresh uniforms all the time.
Yeah.
Fucking free hot lunch.
Once a month, you get to pick something off the shelf, take it home.
Yeah, out of the fucking reject bin.
Because that was a question that I brought up early on, was that, like McDonald's, I used for example. How come McDonald's is one of the richest companies in the world, yet if you work for McDonald's, you're one of the poorest people? I guess not if you can't say the poorest, because if you want to get real,
what they don't do is offer full-time positions, really, right? They want a bunch of part-timers, so there's no benefits involved. Or anything like that, motherfucker.
I know I got fired as soon as I got out of my training wage. When I started at a training wage, it was $6.50 an hour.
We got to make a tough
You had to
decision
do that
on
for
this guy.
500 hours. I mean, it didn't help that I tackled a fellow employee.
Yeah, there's something weird about franchising.
But
That it's hard to keep track of, like
Right.
where the quality control accountability. Is it just the person that owns it, or is it McDonald's Corporation that's responsible for all these thousands of outlets that are everywhere? I don't know. And we got to have standards and qualities and regulations. But make that money, son. Make that fucking money.
dude, do you before we go, I should probably take off pretty soon. Did you see the guy who stole the plane in Seattle?
Yeah.
I thought that was fake for
I
sure.
didn't just see him. I heard him.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I was like, when my buddy showed me, I was like, dude, this is fake as balls. And then like I started digging into it, and I'm like, these are all credible sources, or
Yeah,
maybe not, but
must have known like a little bit about what he was doing.
yeah, he get that thing off the ground, just barrel rolls it.
Yeah, he's
dude,
just
he
going
comes so
full
close to the
GTA
water,
with
eh?
it. Yeah.
Whoa! You know what
Yeah.
I'm wondering? Did they shoot him down? No. You can't find any footage of him
Well, I
crashing.
guess not. Yeah.
You can't find any footage of him crashing, and there were F-15 circling.
Maybe it's their responsibility to shoot him down.
No, well, that like for sure.
Right.
Like I would not say that they made
But
a
you should still
wrong
be
move
fucking
by
straightforward
shooting him
about it.
down, but like,
Come on, this is the first scare since 9/11.
yeah. Well, imagine what those
These
people were.
motherfuckers have been working for 16 years. No action. Somebody gonna get a plane again.
Did I wonder how quick those jets were on him? Could he have flown to like? Could he have made it from Seattle? Could he have made it to LA and flew into like, the Maze Bank in GTA? It's actually the Bank of America, the real one. But
I wonder if he
that's
just kept
LA's
it-
biggest building.
Everybody kept having like some sympathy for him, and whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe there's a little bit to be found there, but like maybe he kept it over the water for that. Like maybe he was trying to be nice about it
Right.
and make sure he doesn't hurt anybody else.
Well, because people started to be like, "Oh, he's trying to start another forest fire." Was one of the conspiracies. But then they're like,
This is the sum of my life to try to get another fire on the board here.
but he crashed on an island.
Well, maybe he
was
just
not
took it
really
out
what
to
you
crash
thought.
to make sure like he didn't hurt anybody, but he's just fucking around.
Well, that's what I think he did.
I mean,
right?
obviously he wanted out, but yeah, I don't know.
Didn't want to damage the ocean.
Suicide by cop. I
Good
mean,
guy.
you still cost somebody a couple bucks with that
Yeah.
heap of metal going to the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, well, he made sure he didn't go in the ocean, right? The ocean cleanup's having a hard enough time already.
Yeah.
Don't need to add a fucking.
Well, they sink those
747
things
to it.
sometimes, not planes, but old ships and stuff.
Yeah, for diving.
They make reefs. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
yeah, that's sweet. I'd be into that.
A little recycle.
Can I go sink ships? Sink ships?
Shink ships. Yeah, big ships still baffle me. I was reading something on how cruise ships are fighting back, like against the bad name they got.
Right.
So these guys started building these like incredible cruise ships now. There's like 7 or 8 of them.
Yeah.
And they're just like next level, and it's like people are saying that it might be the nicest hotel in the world. It just happens to float. kind of thing.
Right.
And they're just trying to go against every stereotype there is, and they overkill it. Just 40 restaurants and fucking
Yeah.
zip lines,
Water
and fucking
park.
All the rooms are like got these next level like
Who's gonna be
subtle
the first person to put a roller coaster?
these subtle things. Like they put these, I guess they're virtual balconies. So instead of, they found like this guy was sitting outside watching ships come into the fucking bay, and he's a visionary, and he noticed that not everybody was on their balcony. So he's like, oh, those are worthless, but people still want to see outside. So they give a virtual balcony, and the wall is a screen, but they can use all the balcony space for the room, so the room seems bigger. And then the wall is a screen that's actually just a camera view of the outside,
Okay.
and it's nice and clear. But they found that if you don't show that on the right side, they have 4 cameras that point each way, I guess. If you don't show that on the right side, people get motion sickness from staring at it and getting a different feeling from or something.
Well, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure, you're right, yeah.
So they had to like just these weird little subtleties of the things they're trying to do to tweak a
Did they
ship.
think of maybe just putting in a window?
No,
Like,
well,
why
these
just
are
make a giant screen with a balcony? Like a
yeah.
like-
Well, sorry, these are for the rooms that are inside because there's only so many rooms on the outside.
Oh, these are for the inner
Yeah.
rooms. Oh, genius. I see what they did there.
But they're also doing it with, I think on one of the ships, they're doing it without the glass too, just to exercise the room,
Right.
just to make those rooms the big suites
Yeah,
or whatever.
yeah.
Like,
But you think you just put a glass in, but maybe the glass will not hold up, damage the integrity of the ship.
yeah, I guess
We got to get a new studio.
you can't have
The
like
soundproof
full length
is
mirrors or something like that for some other reason.
Right.
But there's just all these little subtleties to building this floating. But you just look at it, you're like, what in the world? is that?
Yeah.
How's it floating? A.
Yeah. Yeah.
B, like, how crazy are people? Like, just fucking putting things
Find
like
a
this
way,
together. Like, as a person, you don't feel like you're doing much, but then you look at what humans accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, huh.
Yeah, man.
Some shit going down here.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
It's almost if you look at any process, it's like that. Any industry, like anything in industry, if you start looking
don't
at
you
how
think
they
these
get
guys-
the finished
sorry.
product,
Yeah.
they just fly through it. Like you're just like, holy fuck, they thought of everything. Like they're just
Right.
reclaiming everything they possibly can with as little to no waste, making it as efficient as possible. And you're like, think of the first guy who decided to boil water for steam.
Right. And there's
And then-
probably like an ego to it where you want to, like, that might be what drives a guy, but primarily there just has to be money to be made, right? Mm-hmm. There's money to be made. It's going down. It'll happen.
Right.
And it's just, most of that comes from popular demand, but sometimes like necessity or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also sometimes like war. If there's money to be made, you'll find people that are willing
Dick Cheney.
to kill all these other people to get it.
Get him in there.
Yeah. They're not going to kill them with their bare hands, but
Yeah, yeah.
they're making decisions knowing full well what the consequences are.
Mm-hmm.
It's chaos out there.
Yep. Well, that's a good note to close on. World is chaos, people. Absolute anarchy.
Yeah, that was
Dude,
Pat
look at the
Oswalt's.
lighting on this. We look like we're in
chaos,
two
be
different
kind.
rooms.
It's chaos. Be kind.
All right. Ready to go? Sure now.
Yeah, so long.
Okay, well, it's nice meeting you guys.
So long, sucker.